Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Mad About Film. Today we're talking about Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner by Ridley Scott, and also Blade Runner 2049 starring Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling. I have here with me today two filmmakers of worth.
Net worth.
Yeah, net worth. And we're going to start with Gareth Keogh,
right.
an editor and filmmaker who has worked on films with Saeed. Would you like to sort of say something about yourself anyway?
Irish guy.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
Yeah, I've known Saeed for a long time, and basically we kind of started our careers together.
Okay, and moving on to Saeed Taji Farouky. You've seen me before, I've seen you before.
Yeah, most people know me already. But the only other thing I wanted to say, Gareth has co-written and edited all of my docs.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay, cool.
And the reason he's here today is because he has an encyclopedic knowledge of film.
So we're here to talk about Blade Runner today, and let's look at the original film's trailer.
I need your deck. This is a bad one, the worst yet. There was an escape from the off-world colonies 2 weeks ago. 6 replicants, 3 male, 3 female. They slaughtered 20...
A Blade Runner's job is to hunt down replicants. Manufactured humans you can't tell from the real thing.
What's this? Roy Batty. Probably the leader.
There was just one outfit making replicants that superhuman. The Tyrell Corporation.
Mr. Deckard, Dr. Eldon Tyrell.
I don't get it, Tyrell.
Commerce is our goal here at Tyrell. More human than human is our motto.
If I didn't care more than words can say, if I didn't care, would I feel this way?
So that was the trailer, and actually, guys, so what do you think of the original Blade Runner? We'll start with you, Saeed.
It was huge, actually. I'm not a fan of science fiction in general, I would say. But I think one of the things the film, one of the reasons maybe why it's so popular is because it kind of transcends science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a science fiction film. I mean, it kind of is, but it's much more about just being human than it is about the science of the science fiction.
It's a film noir, would you say?
Yeah, or it's a film noir. I guess you see what you want. I love it. Yeah. I think
Transporting.
it's absolutely beautiful.
What's the word? Transporting. It's just... That's what it is. I mean, it's
Yeah, on that point, Gareth, if
it's
you'd
such
like
a...
to, what did it mean to you when you first saw it?
I mean... visually,
When did you first see it, actually?
When I was quite young, I saw it originally on television.
Yeah.
But when I saw it sort of properly, it would have been in 96 or 94, which is the first time in the cinema in Ireland. And it's just... I mean, it's got one of the most perfect openings of all time. Like, it's...
Which version did you
unparalleled.
see originally, actually?
That was the director's cut
Right.
in the cinema, but I did originally see the theatrical with the voiceover and all that kind of stuff. Which,
Okay.
On TV?
detested.
Yeah. And did you both, when you both saw the voiceover version one, did you feel equally kind of like...
That's been on
It didn't work.
television
Cried.
recently,
Yeah.
and I
cried.
literally can't listen to a single line of the dialogue.
Really?
Because it's, I mean, one of the first opening stanzas is about like my ex-wife always used to say it was cold fish. She calls him sushi, cold fish, and like they're so explicit about what it's written for, like
Children.
yeah.
I'll never know why he saved me that day. That's
God,
the worst
come on.
part.
Yeah,
when
that's-
Rutger Hauer saves him at the end.
It's so bad.
And
I don't know
I
what-
never
it's
know.
like the
what-
most beautiful
yeah.
scene, the
Oh,
tears
yeah, of
and
course.
rain,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
then, and instead of it just plays out,
Yeah.
he comes in like, I'll never know why you saved me that day.
I don't know why he saved my life. Maybe in those last moments he loved life more than he ever had before.
The making of, though, is so funny because there's like audio recordings of Harrison Ford doing the voiceover,
Yeah.
and he's like, I never know why you saved me that day, and he just goes, I don't know. This is weird. It's really funny because you can see him going like, "Are you kidding me?"
So we should make it clear to viewers as well that we're actually talking about the final cut and also in comparison with Blade Runner 2049. So what do you think between the two of you? Obviously, do you think it had in terms of an effect on popular culture? Why do you think it's lasted so long?
I think it's sort of a perfect marriage of two things. Like it's asking questions about humanity, but it's also quite open-ended about it. And it allows you to pour yourself into it as a result. The characters are sort of underwritten a little bit.
Because you're always asking questions, basically, while you're watching
the film. But you can see yourself in different aspects of the characters. Like, I think what sort of links the two films really well, not to get ahead of ourselves, but like the artificial characters spend a lot of time trying to make themselves feel real. And those sort of little acts, little specific things, like they drink, or they're washing his face when Harrison Ford's characters. All these little tactile, like sort of very visceral things really put you into the film, and you feel lost in it as well a little bit. Like you feel like the characters, where you're not really sure who's who and what you're supposed to think about. Your own existence.
There's a lot of ambiguity. I think maybe that's why it did well. Remember, it did really badly when it first came out.
Yeah,
and
huge.
it only got later.
And critically as well. It was kicked around.
Was it Pauline Kael that gave it a critical moment, or was she? I
think everybody did. It was really badly.
It was really bad, but probably because it was so ambiguous as well. That was a big problem. I think then maybe viewers got a little more nuance. Now that's the most interesting part, because you're like, oh, is baddie bad, or is he actually good because he saves his life, or he basically, it's a slave rebellion, so like, why would I think of them?
When he says it's retribution.
And then, is Deckard a replicant? Is he not a replicant? Is Sean Young, are they really in love? Is it robot love? Is it, you know what I mean?
Robot love.
So I think that's one of the reasons why it's so interesting. But then there's just it's so friggin' dense. That's the thing. It's so dense. I mean, in the scenery, not the narrative.
Visually, it's incredible.
So you're going to say, Gareth? Yeah.
But I think it's quite slight. Like if you think about the actual story, he gets the assignment.
It's so basic.
There's 2 or 3 interactions, and then we're like into the third act, and then it gets all wrapped up. It's only like a couple of days it takes place over, but it is dense. It's not just visually, but I think also it's stacked very, densely, rather than being a long sort of odyssey of a story. It's much more of like a very atmospheric world. Like every shot's really overwhelming. There's an awful lot of information to take in, and it sort of sets everything up straight away, and it doesn't really develop the themes very much. They're kind of quite evident from the setup. The very first interview, trying to discern who's real and who's not real. The film basically goes on to sort of talk about, I think, what real means and is it important. But it's just so easy to sort of, in every scene, have it, give you a new notion or a new twist or a new sort of angle on things.
Okay, great. There's one little thing I just want to kind of interject in there is about the casting. Obviously, I knew that from the documentary from Dangerous Days. It's like there was rumours that Dustin Hoffman was supposed to play.
That would have been terrible.
Dustin Hoffman was supposed to play Deckard, and there was even like kind of the visual artists were obviously sketching what are they called? Boards. Storyboards, they were sketching storyboards, and they were looking a little bit like Dustin Hoffman.
Really?
Oh no!
They were potentially on the cast to actually cast Dustin Hoffman.
Very strange.
It would have been bad.
I think one of the good things about Harrison Ford is that he's handsome. It looks like he's been designed. Like Dustin Hoffman's character, I'd be like, this is sort of fell out the. That would be a totally different movie. That'd be very strange.
It would, I don't think it would be very good. Yeah. So Sean Young is generally a really bad actor.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
Then it works in this film because she's a robot.
But she looks a little bit... I think she was cast because Ridley Scott
liked her look,
and she looked a bit like Vivian Leigh.
She looks a lot like the whole makeup.
It's crazy, I mean, that's perfect for the idea of it being a film noir, science fiction film noir. So, but I thought she was quite good in the film. I mean, I remember the time that this film was made, and I think the time is indicative of trying to say, look at Alien, for example, when you had Sigourney Weaver playing Ripley. She was playing a real seminal female role, and yet people didn't really pay attention to those kind of roles. It was surprising to have that at the time in 1979, and then now, I like the fact that Ridley Scott at that time took chances then and made a kind of real impact in terms of cinema culture history. These days, it's kind of water under the bridge, and people don't really think about it. They don't. it's, you know, you can't necessarily take a bet on someone who is young and cool and hip, because there's always some money or some studio behind the person or an agent which kind of pushes talent
But let's
forward.
not forget, like, Harrison Ford had just, like, you know, Star Wars was everywhere, and Empire Strikes Back was 1980, so like, he's probably one of the biggest stars on the planet. So.
Little question is, obviously one of the main defining questions of the film is whether Deckard is a replicant or human, and that's a massive debate that's obviously gone through. It kind of informs everything about Blade Runner in itself. So, in your opinion, is he human or replicant?
1, 2, 3, replicant.
No, I think he's a replicant. I mean, I think the first film does make it quite explicit that he's a replicant.
See, I think he's human. And I heard that Harrison Ford actually played it as a human.
Harrison Ford thinks he's human.
Yeah, but
and it makes it more interesting.
Ridley Scott says he has explicitly said he's supposed to be a replicant, and Harrison Ford disagreed with him, which is fine, because it's like the death of the author thing again. You can interpret it in your own way.
I guess the only person who really knows is Hampton Fancher, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah, but Ridley Scott was speaking on behalf of the writers and directors.
I think he would have been talking.
But in the final cut, it is pretty explicit. There's all these clues. The whole the unicorn thing is the biggest.
But the unicorn thing. Oh no, I read about the unicorn thing.
Yeah,
the unicorn thing is they
were shooting tests for Legend, right?
The thing I was going to say about the unicorn is that you can take it as a dream, pure and simple, but it's almost, you don't necessarily have to take it as that he's dreaming and therefore it's an implant and he's a replicant. You can take it as it's a symbol about Rachel's virginity, and the point is that, like, you know, he's interested in Rachel. Obviously that's maybe what he's kind of thinking about and dreaming. And you know, who's the character that makes all the origami kind of Gaff. So Gaff is a fellow Blade Runner. And at the same time,
he's human.
And he's human. There you go. He's human. But the point is that, and the way Harrison plays the detective he's playing him is like, you know, we're getting rid of the skin jobs. They're always talking about them objectively in the third person about skin jobs. So you kind of, there's an implication that he is human as well throughout the process of the film. But with the unicorn, it's almost like there was some commentary I read, and essentially the unicorn really represents Rachel, and also the human stroke replicant relationship between Deckard and Rachel. And so therefore like at the end, when Gaff leaves the unicorn at the end, it's almost like he was chasing after them and then he decides to let them go. Because he finds the unicorn and then he knows that Gaff was after him, but they're going to escape and run off. But I just know there's some kind of symbolism between unicorn and virginity, and also Deckard taking Rachel's virginity.
I think that's true. Unicorns can symbolize quite a lot of things, like he's a dream as well, which obviously says a lot. But I think, thinking just purely narratively, the fact that Gaff is aware of the unicorn, whether it symbolizes anything, definitely indicates that he's aware that it's a dream, and that
it's the way you said exactly. Exactly.
But it's true. How would he know
if he's not a replicant? Like, it would be just terrible writing if they'd had a discussion about a dream he used to have, and Gaff is a buddy of his, and then if they don't include that in the film, I mean, it would be terrible were they to do that. But it just makes no other logical sense.
They spend a lot of time in that car. We don't know.
See, the thing is,
I mean, he's eating noodles, so he's probably.
Did you have any crazy dreams?
Oh yeah,
had that unicorn. I had a dream about a unicorn.
Well, I'm sure in the voiceover in the theatrical cut,
there
was that dream about the unicorn again.
We spent a lot of time in the car.
Having just spoken to Gaff about it.
About the unicorn. But the other thing is, he says, "Too bad she won't live." Then again, who does? Meaning, you're also gonna die because you're a robot.
Or you're human.
Who does?
I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, I have to stop
but also,
saying, that's why it's so compelling, because you can read it in both ways. I mean,
just leaning into the new Blade Runner 2049, the idea in the story of that story is that there was a human replicant child. That's the point.
Not necessarily. He's still an ambiguous character in the new one.
Yeah, they don't answer that question.
They
in the new
play
one.
the same shiz, man.
Ridley Scott does say that the original, definitely he's a replicant because of the dream, and the new one doesn't work unless he's a replicant, because he's assuming that a replicant will have to reproduce with a replicant. Having said that, though, Robin Wright's character says that peace is built on a wall dividing the replicants from the humans, and if that wall is taken away, then it's chaos. That doesn't really make sense if the well, I mean, it can be read as just socially they're equal, but also intermixing. And the notion that Harrison Ford's character is human, though I don't think the first film says that, I think the second film tries to, and it's sort of saying, well, if replicants and humans can intermix, then we're the same. Then this wall is gone, the divide is gone, it's a huge human rights issue or replicant rights issue. You know, it destroys the world as it stands.